Our theme is the digital workspace and our latest digital tools in relation to that. So in the next 30 minutes or so, we will be talking about what a digital workplace is, what are the new ways of working, what are the benefits of it. We will also would like to talk about a little bit about the current trends around these digital workplaces and how they are evolving. And finally, we also had a recent implementation experience ourselves with a pretty recent and innovative digital working tool. So we will also be discussing about this, what are the functionalities of it, what does it bring to us in terms of the organization. So that will be pretty much it. My name is Anıl Selvi. I'm the quality control lead for our company. And I'm glad to join today with Philip Collard, who is one of our senior advisory board members. So Philip, would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, Philip Collard here. Yeah, I've been a management consultant for about 30 years, and I've taken on various roles during that period of time with PLCs and group business development directors and global role. And I came across Levant and a number of your team, including Anıl, with WEG a few years ago. But what happened was I was quite inspired by what I was seeing in the growth of the change opportunity in digitalization, and I wanted to get involved. So I thought this could be a very interesting area to go. So I'm not a digital guy. I'm just somebody who understands processes, culture, transitional change, benefits of efficiencies. So I've always been very interested in processes and how the company and the culture can collaborate and achieve greater things by working in a collective sense. So I've done a lot of learning, and because of that, I was inspired to do to start this development. And I was very fortunate to work with a very old friend of mine who, at the time, was the global managing director of Accenture, Eric Sandel. And we decided, well, he wanted to leave, and I was in a thinking moment, and I thought let's set up a business. So we set up My Console. And I was very fortunate to have all this great insight from one of the top brains in AI and digitalization. And what Eric and I did was we spent about a year really thinking how data flows around organizations and how the user interface, what we can be doing to actually achieve and provide users with capabilities so they can be better personally informed. And that's really the sort of background as to why I'm talking to you today. And Levant very kindly invited me to be involved as one of your advisory board members.
Thanks, Philip. I mean, I think most of us within the company, at least, knows you somehow. But it's a good overview of your recent experience. So let's start. So these days, everybody is talking about digitalization and digital workplace. So, but I'm not sure if everybody is quite sure what they are talking about. So let's set up the concepts right first of all. So what do we mean really by a digital workplace, or what do you mean by when people talk about the future of work, the new ways of working? What do they really mean about it?
Okay, so you're going to get it from a non-technological perspective. So digital workplaces are the sort of the virtual environment that represents every single part of your workplace, your current analog workplace. And it's to try and let everybody to do all their current roles, all their activities, all their actions, their tasks, and to enable them not just to work remotely, but to actually work in a mobile sense, on the move. Now, that's the benefit of having all of this capability will be quite immense, and is immense. I mean, McKinsey's are predicting something like about a 33% increase in personal productivity, and we're seeing that from our own findings from our other clients. So a digital workplace is about the entirety of your current workplace. And the big problem with your current workplace for productivity is that culturally you're very used to it, and there is a big resistance to change, because you've perhaps got spreadsheets. You go to work to do your work, and what digitalization can help you do, or will help you achieve, is that you can work anywhere. You can be in a queue in a shop, you can be on a bus, and that the work comes to you via your mobile phone. This is going to be where you'll be doing most of your work in the future. And the challenge really for the leadership in companies is that the existing processes are outdated. They worked for 10, 20 years ago. But as we've seen from COVID, that they don't necessarily work for us now, particularly if we're not in the office. And that's our big challenge. So, you know, if we think about what we're doing from a sense of in specifics for you guys, the issue really is that, you know, a digital workplace is the space where everybody can have a personal set of tools across everything. Now, you may say we can access all of our work tools remotely, but sometimes you may be signing on singularly to these different systems, and that might slow you down. That might make you unproductive as you wait for help from IT. But you've got to sort of think about the whole thing in the cloud. Everything is instantly there for you to be able to access. And really, the big problem is the organizational shift in the organization itself, culturally. This is not how you do things, and therefore this is a massive rejection starts to happen. So the future is for all industries over the next 25 years to reimagine their entire way of how they work, just in the same way that you have these marvelous things like EasyJet, or, you know, flight apps, you know, your banking apps. These are just seamlessly there, and you can do so many more things. That's the way to think about it. And really what it also enables is this incredible collaborative capability. So people can collaborate in the same way that they're collaborating in the office, you know, and that's the challenge for the organization. Now, there is a difference between digitization and digitalization, and it's very important you understand that difference. Digitalization is where you digitize a single silo tool, and therefore and this is what's happening in a lot of industries. People are, you know, they've got one single thing to address, and they would digitize that and go, hey, I've done something fantastic. But actually, they've missed the opportunity to think across, you know, all of your processes. And really what digitalization is about thinking about the entire end-to-end process, like a banking app, and thinking through each of these steps. So this is what Eric and I were spending time to do. And the problem is that, you know, this is a challenge, but so therefore the challenge is that you have to make it customizable. You have to make it a very user interface. It has to be very friendly. It has to be easy to use, in the same way that an airline captain or a pilot, all of the tools around the dashboards are there instantly. So we spent a lot of time thinking about how people move through systems, and you know, we recognize that that's a shift, and we know that it's going to take 5 to 10 years for companies to catch up on this. But the whole point is we need to make it much easier for organizers, for the people to collaborate themselves, particularly around a specific area. Now, you know, there are some incredible benefits, and you will all be aware of those yourself using your own banking apps and flight apps. I was in the Mediterranean once, and we didn't quite know where we were going to sail to, and we were going by, the winds were great, and we could see we could go to Mykonos. So we went there, and I just got on my app and I booked a flight back to the UK. I mean, these sorts of things weren't available. So the same opportunity is now coming into work. We can see, you know, a 30%. We're getting between 20 and 30% per user productivity. That's 1 day back for each user a week, and they can do better things with that time. We can, you know, having the ability to have incredible governance as well. and the ability to collaborate and communicate across the teams. Not, when I talk about communication, it shouldn't be really about communicating to different, using different channels, emails, text messages. Communicate in the system itself, and having that accessibility, which I've already spoken about. The other thing is what it actually means, particularly for us in what we're doing, or for you. It's this ability to achieve this time management, because you're not filling out the same information in separate spreadsheets or spending time trying to find things in files. All the data is in the cloud. So it's, you have like a page interface, a tab, which pulls that data to you as you need it. So the accessibility for all the tools is just literally a click away, and because you're flowing across that data, you don't have to worry about, because everybody's collaborating. I sort of think of it as like a giant WhatsApp, if you can think of it in that way. Then as people put information in, that instantly becomes available to everybody else. The important thing really is governance. And what it means is that you can see all the tasks you've been assigned and all the tasks you need to complete, and the little approval steps that you can click that you've done it. That means that the project or the bid can go through the next workflow, and then a new set of tasks can be made available to you. So it's very accurate. It can integrate with any system, or any of these software systems can, and it will replace your existing processes. What it really needs is culture change. It needs people to embrace this as the biggest opportunity that we're going to have in a generation. And it needs trust. It needs trust from the leadership, and it needs trust from the people using it as well.
Thank you, Philip. By the way, honestly, I must admit that I didn't know the difference between digitization and digitalization. So honestly speaking, because these two concepts are used frequently in exchange of each other.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to be the case. So one is really related with an overhaul, a cultural change, which involves a cultural change. But the other thing is, as you were saying, you can digitize this and that, but it doesn't mean that you are culturally and as an organization evolved or changed according to the new, let's say, environment. So I think that's the essence of it. That's really important.
The danger is people it's a little bit like us in the beginning of the last century, when steam came in, for the last 200 years it was steam engines. They were replaced by electric engines. You can't just replace a huge, massive steam engine with an electrical engine. The other things that come out from this is how you can create now the business environment, rather than just having lots of belts and the danger of every belt giving to little machines. You can actually you set out your business in a nice process in lots of different buildings using small electric. We're going to do that same transition. We just don't know it yet. So, there's a lot of other things coming into play here. This, to me, is the biggest opportunity in a generation. There's never been in a generational change, perhaps down to about the 1970s, where a technology that's coming into play will have such a huge impact on all of our lives. You probably have felt it yourself, where you've probably all been working from home and you're feeling quite productive, and you have been. And you're saying to yourself in the future, you're going to be saying, well, do I really need to go into the office that day? And this is good, because this is a challenge we want people to start, and this is where the trust comes in. We want people to, as leadership, we want people to say, why am I going to work? Work is what I do, not where I go. That's the future for us. And that means that the actual workplace is evolving. And leaders now need to be hugely imaginative and create those tools so people can work on the move. The other thing people will be doing in the future is they'll be working, social life and work is merging together. People are at the gym, people have got to take their child to hospital for an appointment, they're going for a haircut. Well, if we give them the tools so they can do these things, they can do their work and demonstrate they're being productive. As a new work approval gateway comes in, they can see that, bang, they can start doing their work, get back to the gym. Actually, from a leader's perspective, that's great. Yes, we need to make sure you're bonding and you're involving, but if we give you the tools to do these things, wow. And that's going to be the biggest transitional change for us going forward.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to try and stick with the time here, guys.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, Philip, I mean, just one question, because it's really a hot topic these days. So this coronavirus, COVID, really affected how we do business very drastically, very radically, and in a very short period of time, actually. And people needed to adapt, and they did. I mean, mostly, let's say. So, and I mean, linking this to the digital workplace, and people are now working from their homes or wherever they are, as you were saying, for example. So this seems to be getting more and more a hot topic these days, isn't it? Can you foresee, do you have any estimates or any, let's say, any ideas around how this will even further evolve in this post-COVID era?
well, we're actually about to hopefully be awarded a big contract for the UK government, for an industry body in the UK government, to do some productivity analysis. And the big problem we have in, obviously we're a construction sector organisation, is that the site delivery costs are being unproductive. So there's a planned how much each month they were going to have people on site and achieve various. Now, post-COVID, what actually did they achieve across materials, plant, labour, logistics, preliminaries, those sorts of things? Now, the problem is, and this is the big danger we're all going to have to face, is that this money is not going to be recoverable. The client will not pay. WEglobal will have to improve their operational delivery, because and we're seeing a 30%, what is being predicted at the moment by construction leadership is a 30% drop in productivity. Funny that, eh? On sites, which actually translates to between a 2 to 5% margin impact on your profit margins. Now, unless firms recognize this, the clients will not pick up this cost. They're not going to. So we have to think through operationally, how can we do deliverables? So in the construction industry, that's off-site, using manufacturing in factories to develop buildings and making it quicker to build. And you'll have the same challenges. I'm sure Levant's having those challenges, and other leaders on this call will be thinking about that. But bear in mind, the client is very unlikely to go, oh, do you want another 5%? It's probably not going to happen. Now, in the bidding environment, we have got a bigger problem, because we're normally thinking about having a win rate of 1 in 5 as our win rate. That's typical. But the problem is we cannot recover, and we would recover the 4 lost bids, the resources we spend in the 4 lost bids, on the 1 bid we win. Now, that's not going to happen in the future again. They're not going to pay for that. There's not enough money for that. So what we're going to have to do, what people with firms like yourself are going to have to be much more selective, and you've got to be targeting a 1 in 1, a 1 in 2 win rate. Now, I know you think that's crazy, but it's not, because data-informed selectivity, which is what we've built into my console, and tying in with things like AI and machine learning, can actually give you a very accurate prediction of which bids, based on your historic performance of bids you've won in the past. And therefore, what you can do is put all your resources and efforts on those 1 or 2 bids. If you really got to be brutal, can we win that bid? And if you really don't, put all your energies onto those very, very few that you know, and put more love, effort, and attention, more client centricity, and you're more likely to win those bids. I've proven that myself over the last 25 years. Stop, bid less, win more is always the mantra.
I mean, 1 in 2 or even 1 in 1 win rate. It seems pretty much crazy to me. I don't know how people would think, but
I've helped clients go very often. I've helped clients go from 1 in 5 win rates to 1 in 2. We have a client using the platform saying they've gone from 1 in 4 to 1 in 2, and the MD, it's on our video of our website. They're saying that they think, this is in January this year, we think we can get a 1 in 1 win rate. Why should I bid for bids? Now, the point, you will have to make your own decision, because you're in a different marketplace. You do a wider range of services. But the lesson is, you've got to learn from and utilize that to help you focus.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I've only got a few more minutes left, so I'll.
Yeah, we have around like 10 minutes left. So,
okay.
And you know that we are one of the early adopters in most of these like technological developments. We sometimes try to develop some tools even on ourselves, but together with you, I mean, we have been going through a recent change My Console. I think you would like to also detail this one a little bit.
Okay, so it's what we're delivering is a tool which will get work done in one place. You know, and what it's trying to do is to give people personalized dashboards on their role and on the bids that they personally are involved with. So they will have greater insight and therefore will be able to make better decisions about their role and their responsibilities on working on that bid. So we want to leverage the brains from people by giving them access. We want to give them better access to analytics and metrics so that people can be better informed and make those decisions for themselves, rather than getting on the bid escalator and going up, knowing full well, if you ask many bid team people and you ask them during a bid and you say, do you think we can win this bid? Every time people, I don't think we are wasting our time, I don't know why we're doing it. But this is the bid escalator, let's just carry on. And what we're doing is in our submission tool, we're constantly giving you scoring about whether this is still winnable, even during the bid submission development stage. Now, it's all about pipeline management. Everything's about pipeline management, the visibility. But most people have a pipeline, and what we're doing with our win score is that people identify the winnability of the score based upon what they personally believe is the weighted factors. And therefore, the win score allows people, the teams and the management above them, to make better decisions. I often meet people who say, oh, Philip, we've got £1 billion pipeline. And I go, oh dear. And they go, what do you mean? And I say, is that £1 billion pipeline at a 5% win score, or £1 billion pipeline at a 95% success win score? You see the problem. And if we can start segmenting those bids at the highest chance of winning, we can start grading, and we've also built in a bid mentor to prompt what people can do. So we've talked about the data-driven selectivity. We've also got things like client management, program management, all the risk management, gateways, governance, all those sorts of things. But it's really the personalized dashboard view that is really there to help you collaborate and to power you and empower you with your tasks, so you can be working anywhere you wish to go. And if I just talk you through a sort of scenario like that, so if one of your team goes for a meeting and you know, this is what's happening, they can go to a meeting and they can get some information that's instantly available for everybody in that particular team. People can discuss those client changes, those needs, the impact of that issue. There's prompts in the system to prompt people to do better things, we capture all the client's outcomes and the other wider stakeholders' outcomes, and instantly that transforms into a win plan. So there's no bid launch preparation. You're just instantly available to do a bid launch, and therefore you can do the bid launch event on the cloud, remotely on your phone, and people can be taking actions away, and that will go onto their personal task activity, and it's seamless and quick. And then you can talk about another project. And you know, at the moment, people are keeping all their issues in a little book, and then they go meeting to meeting, and then they never look at those notes again. And guys, this is not how we're going to be doing it in the future. So let's put things, let's use our laptops, our iPads, our iPods, all those things. Let's put this information into the cloud and share that, so we can be much better and more effective in staying on top of these things. The next thing is the other thing is I've talked about the bid go, no go. And I did some research with Reading University about 5 years ago. And this is going to surprise you. We got about £8 billion worth of data. We did a national survey across the UK. We got a roughly 50% split. And what we found out with bid costs as a percentage of project value is around about 0.57%. So I'll make that very easy to understand. If you're 100, and the other thing that came out was the average 1 in 5 win rate. If you're a 100 million contractor or consultant, and you have a 1 in 5 win rate, if you want a 1 in 1 win rate, you'd be spending £570,000 or €570,000, but you've got to times that by 5. So that's around about £2.85 million of your revenue is spent on bidding alone. Now, if you can improve that by, 2, go to 1 in 3, you'll be saving £1 million plus of time. Now, that's very scary, and that's a reality. You are spending that resource. We found that, and this is a question for yourself to think about, if you don't know these figures, my challenge to you is, shouldn't you know these figures? How much time do you spend on a losing bid, and how much time on a winning bid? We found it was 332 hours on a losing bid, and as a typical five-man team needs 30 hours each. So around about 500 hours is being spent on a winning bid. So the winning bids, you need more time. Funny that, A. The other thing that comes out from that is the cost of that. So you times all that out, you're spending nearly 2,000 hours to win one bid. Now, that could be your entire margin. In some smaller contracts, that is double the actual margin from the project. And my challenge is, if you do not monitor this, you don't know. And my issue is that bid teams feel they're being very busy by bidding, and actually they're not being selective or strategic or thinking. And what we've tried, what we have achieved in My Console is that becomes a very powerful way to do it. So here you can see 2 to 3% on bidding alone. 73% of your bidding is wasted. And what are you doing? You know that's happening. What are you analyzing to see what you can stop doing and do more of the things that you do better in the future? Now, that's what we're about. That's what exactly, and the bit of the core platform gives this, and this is what you put into place so far. So this will start when you start using it more and using that win plan, the win score. You will start using and learning from that. So I've talked about that already.
Yeah, just before you continue, Philip, just to let everybody know that, I mean, we have now implemented the core platform, not with all the functionalities, but especially the gonogo tool that you were just talking about. So we are now putting our figures and projects, and we just started following the projects up from the tool itself. So and our expectations are big in that regard, really. But as you were saying, I mean, we need some cultural change to develop all the necessary, things to get into, to be embedded into the system. But so far, I mean, we're also impressed by the different functionalities that it can offer to us. Some of them we haven't thought about. And also our pipeline is now pretty much fully transferred to the new system. So I think we will start realizing these benefits that you were talking about in the near future.
So I'll just thank you for that. I'll just move this on. So how we're going to achieve that is because in your traditional bidding activities, there's a lot of duplication across a number of systems, and there's typically around about 50 separate tools in the front end of a business. And there's a lot of duplication, typing in the same project name, and there could be 5 people running the same set of tools, each of them, and this time, if you're not measuring that, so there's lots of sort of Excel sheets and systems, and all of these sort of things are often mainly done in spreadsheets. I've got a bit of a shock to share with you. Spreadsheets will not exist in 10 years' time. I know that sounds crazy, but they won't. They won't. Everything's just going to be in the cloud. You'll be able to pull off analytics as you go. So they're the sort of areas you're going to get things on. And the future, in my view, is everybody will have dashboards. Everybody deserves, the leadership teams, we love dashboards. We're very used to them and we get a lot out of them. But what we fail to remember sometimes is behind each one of those dashboards, there's 2 or 3 people putting lots of data into one spreadsheet and then cleaning it and doing. Some people are spending 2 days a month cleaning that to make the dashboards so that, but the directors are thinking, hey, these Power BI dashboards are great, but they've failed to recognize it's a whole very hard analog approach to grab them. But you may be on a different approach there. So for us, it's about dashboards, giving people the insight and giving people the tools for them to do their jobs a lot more easily. So on clients, how many clients, what your actions with each client, what your bid performance is. So all those bid costs is all built into the system and all these sorts of things. It's basically to help give power to each person so that they can be much capable of doing their job. So I'm sure if you want Anıl will set up demos. We can do demos if anybody wants to see this using your own data now. But yeah, I'll draw to a close there because I know you wanted it 30 minutes, but I'm happy to take questions if you would like. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip. That was quite visionary, and I mean, as we talked in the beginning, I mean, people talk all about these, but I mean, it's really when you justify it with all these figures that you invest in projects and bidding, I think that makes much more sense for each and every one of us to understand the reasoning behind it and to invest in such tools. So thank you very much for that once again, and I'm very glad that we managed to finish right on time, actually. So
dealing with a professional. Just joking.
That's good. So does anybody has any questions for today, for this session?
Well, I do have a question, Philip.
Hi.
If I may. If when Philip was talking about the new, maybe not the new culture, but the new. I know it is kind of a motto, but work is not where you go, but what you do. Something like that.
Yeah.
Because it is maybe, I don't want to call it maybe new normal, but things are changing. It looks like, I don't know how fast it will change, but can you elaborate about it a bit more?
Yeah, I can actually, because it is important. The problem is a lot of people are doing work now using this Zoom or whatever, a team. And the problem is we're spending our time talking, but we're not doing the work. And when we finish the call, we often have another meeting. And again, so we're back to making notes and we're back to doing a lot of talking. Now, what a workplace is that you don't necessarily need to be doing. So I can be working on my platform on the same project and somebody else at the same time can be working. We can be sending each other texts and in the system, we can be working and collaborating together on the same piece of work. But it's yes, we are, but we're not doing it in Zoom and then I'm doing my bit and then this is the difference. Work is, and that's the challenge, that leadership have to create these tools so that, like with an EasyJet or a flight app, hundreds of people can use it and using it simultaneously, and things are progressing. And from that, they're getting how much aviation fuel they need to spend next year, how much weight, what is the key routes, what are the amount of the capacities, where it's falling off, and that information is coming out from people just doing their work, and the real-time insights that come out from people doing the work will be sought after and eagerly sought out, just in the same way that Amazon exploit all the data insight that they get, because then they can sell more services to us. So to me, it's about data analytics and if we give the ability for each person to be able to analyze their own productivity, their own performance. We're not doing a top-down, big brother approach. We're trying to help people do their job in the most effective way. Then we won't be bothered where they are on the planet. If everybody's doing, then they can have a wonderful, better life. We're not going to have the environment in the future where you have to be at a workplace. People are, they're much more apt on social media. People are doing great things. People are running small businesses on the side whilst they're in the workplace, and you wouldn't even know, because, so let's give them fantastic work tools so they can do our great things and be motivated to constantly try to improve and to give us better analytics.
Thank you, Philip.
Thanks, Philip. Thank you, Levent. One of the participants has also a question. I'm just going to unmute her, I guess. So, Tamara, I think you are unmuted now.
Thank you. This helps when you have to ask a question. Well, actually, I wrote it down in the chat. My question is, how is it different, my console, from Slack? which is also a platform for collaboration, or Microsoft Teams, which is also made to work together on different documents and not just, Zoom is very specific indeed, but there are other platforms. How MyConsult is better than all of those on the market now?
Well, I'm not saying it's better. I think there will be a variety of tools that people use, but the problem with, say, document management approaches is that you have a document version, and once that document version has been accessed and somebody's changed it, then you create a new version of that document. Yes, you can work on real-time documents, and you can pull all those things up and it can be accessible, but that information is still trapped in the document. What we're trying to do is surface out as much of the project start date, the end date, how many hours, bid hours. We're trying to manage those things. You will have to submit narratives and documents and bids in the same way, but the information intelligence around that is not trapped in documents. Like a PQQ, people leave the information in the PQQ about certain information, and that all should be stripped out and put into the cloud once. So it gets done once. Because what happens in the future, people go back, I'll go back and have a look at it, and they're constantly referring to the same document. Let's pull all the key things out and put it in the cloud so everybody can be more informed. That's where the productivity comes in, not everybody having to go back and look at documents. I think she wants to come back on that.
Yes, because it's an interesting conversation, but it's just how my concern is, how do you ensure security, the informational security of that work that is being done? And Google Drive has the same opportunity. Multiple people can work on the same document. Final version is there. How can you ensure that someone at some point may be not happy with you at a certain point in time, they will just delete the document? What do you do?
Well, no, because it won't be lost. It can't be lost if you keep keeping the information. The other things you can do is you lock information in as you go through different workflows so that you can't lose that information. We've got permissions, so only leaders can actually close gates, only bid leaders can release, and you can open a field to one person to do one thing. Yeah, I mean, if the one or two fields that they're managing, they're destroying, but we can see that, we'll be able to see what they're doing if they want to sabotage things.
One last question, and I stop monopolizing the questioning session. How do you ensure that you still have human interaction in your teams? Because when everybody works remotely, there is no...
We designed this before COVID. The point is, in your meeting, we will get back to the meetings again in meeting rooms. So I'm in a bid launch meeting, and I'm talking about a win strategy. One of my colleagues now, instead of me making a note that Tamara's going to do that action, you will go put the action in yourself, put it in, logged it. It's been captured. And you've got your action on your dashboard, and that speed of action, rather than me writing up the minutes at the end of the thing and then contacting you, these are your, and then I have to trust that you've written down all your actions. That's going to go. That's not productive. We've just all got to collaborate, whether it's remotely in the cloud. I mean, I love obviously the ability to have these cameras and things, because I think it's important to see people's faces and things. So I can imagine this is going to go off the background, but when we're doing, say, bid launch meetings, people are just going, so you pick up that, I'll do this, and that's going into my dashboard with my actions and my roles and my issues, and other people are creating, and instantly, you're creating all your tasks for that bid, and then you can just get on with them and doing them.
Thank you. You can mute me now.
We don't want to.
Okay, thank you, Tamara. So I also see another question. So if you also would like to ask another question, you can just type in there in the Zoom group chat so I can unmute you. Maybe we can go another couple of minutes too. And I think Grigoris also asked, will it be possible to share the presentation?
Yeah.
I think you can find most of these information on my console, especially on the my console side. But apart from that, Philip?
Yes, I've given the copy of the presentation to the team. All I would ask, if you could please take out my notes, because you know sometimes I don't even use those notes. But if they just strip the notes out and give the presentation, I'm very happy for that to be shared.
Okay, I will ask the team to do so. Any other questions? Any other contributions or comments?
I've got a question. To the bid people here, do you know how many hours you're spending on a winning bid and on a losing bid? Do you know how much each of your bids is costing you? And do you know what your win rate for different client segments are? And it should be in real time.
Let me say, not in real time. Obviously, we have some numbers, the amount that we put in for different bids, but not in real time. And we do some sort of analysis using some offline tools usually, in terms of the amounts that we spend, and also in terms of the money that we spend on different bids. So we already have a system, but not in real time.
Well, that's good. That's good. And what is the average time per bid then?
But hopefully we will, by the way, soon.
Okay, I know. What is the average time on a bid? I've said about 400 hours. What is it for you guys?
I don't know it by heart. I have to check it. It obviously depends from bid to bid, but let me get back to you on that. I don't know by heart, really.
Okay, I don't want to put you on the ropes because you're the change champion here. So.
No, that's okay. I mean, that's okay. It's a good question. Anyway, you are trying to get to a point, so that's.
Now, that was the point I wanted to make.
Yeah, I know that.
No, and we're just bidding, and you know we think we're being busy by doing loads of bids, and unfortunately, the only person in the organisation that really cares is the CEO. And when I'm in the construction industry, I go into firms. And they all want to keep their jobs. They all want to do all their bids, and they're bidding for everything, and they can't win all these ones. And then there's no learning and all the rest of it. So those that want to survive post-COVID, because we've just talked about a 3 to 5% or 2 to 5% increase in on-cost. You know, firms will not survive post-COVID. There's going to be huge bankruptcies in the UK. I'm talking about the UK for me in my construction industry world. I think we're going to lose 1 in 2 firms. Because
really,
I do, because you know who wants a new office building? Retail is who's going to want new retail shops? People are going to make them smaller and smaller. Everything will be turned into housing. So you know, and then what we've got is at the moment is everybody's going crazy bidding for everything, wasting their precious resources. You know, and there are parallels across the industry, and they'll blow their 2 to 3% of bid costs very quickly, and next year, you know, there'll be no money. They won't have recovered the bids. This is
that's a big number.
It's scary, but this is the time to be more selective. Anyway, I've hit home on that very hard. So, are we all okay? Anything else that?
Luckily, one of my colleagues is now just informing me about the average hours that we spend. So it seems to be 900 hours on average on each bid.
Wow. And what is that? What would you estimate that to be? You know, you're not cheap, you guys, but what would that internal cost be? You can see that's coming out to me. If I would estimate that internal cost to be around about. That could be as much as for you. That could be as much as 100 euros, 100,000 euros. In my world, that would be what it would cost in the UK for that sort of. But it's probably 50,000 euros for you guys. I don't know, but you'll tell me differently.
Yeah, they are saying we cannot say it at this very moment. That's a bit confidential, but we can discuss about it obviously.
You know, 10 of those, and that's €1 million. That sort of thing. So
exactly.
You can see that. 10 abortive bids, so the reward for selectivity is huge. Anyway, but listen, thank you very much. I really appreciated you inviting me along, and I appreciated Tamara's interrogation there. I quite enjoyed that. So if anybody wants a demonstration, we're happy to give. We can show more things as well. So shall I sign off, Anil?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Philip. Once again, it was very valuable.
Thank you.
So I hope everybody enjoyed it, although we are a bit ahead of time, but I think that's good. That's a good discussion. So Levent wants to say something.
It was 30 minutes, wasn't it?
It was, but I think it's still okay, 45 minutes. 50% is manageable, so.
There we go. We're a little bit out of time, but that's fine. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and talk to you all soon. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Philip. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.